Hello, chocolate people. Welcome to another episode of the Chocolate Life Podcast. This is your host, AJ Jones, coming to you again with Chaplain McKay. How you doing? What's going on?
How you doing there? I'm doing great myself. I just got off work, so that's neither here nor there, but that's what I've been doing for the past 8 hours. So it's gonna be a little bit different because I'm used to already having my thoughts together. But I'll just shift gears as we go along.
Okay. Yeah. So I decided to call this episode "Who Are These People?" Because at the crux of everything, we're really trying to figure out, like, who are these people really? Like, who are these people? We about to tell you who these people are. Now, this first one, he actually made history for a lot of the wrong reasons at a crucial time in our country's history.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are going to assume we're talking about the guy that came after him, but we're not.
Okay, now I'm curious myself because I don't know which one of these people you talking about. Them folks.
He's one of them folks. You're right. He is one of them folks.
Oh,
now
okay.
I was one of the people at a very young age that kind of voted for him because, you know, he was the black dude and he was gonna do all this stuff, and he didn't.
Okay. Can we put a pause and a pin right there?
Right there.
Yeah, right there. Because you said the black dude, and you say you voted for him. So are you talking about a local election that you're talking about somebody?
No,
or is it a national election?
This was a national election.
Oh, well, actually, we have not had a black dude in a national election recently. Now, I know
I thought he was.
But see, that's the whole thing. So we do have to ask ourselves, who are these people?
Who are these people?
Because you're so silly. Because we have been tricked. And I watched a podcast today from a descendant of indigenous who married a person from indigenous from the continent or aboriginal. I'm going to start using those two frame of references because we are aboriginal. I don't care which continent we're from. However, when these people went through the Ice Age, that changed them. So if we're going to be talking about the DNA thing and actually be true to ourselves, then we got to, stop holding on to some of these falsehoods that we have assumed are us.
Right.
Because these people are not us. And if you're talking about Mr. Obama, and I'm going to call him Mr. Obama, I'm not going to be arrogant like some of these politicians are doing right now. And we going to get to that stuff later. But Mr. Obama, and I think of him when I think of Ron DeSantis. I'm trying to be nice.
It's a real test.
Yeah, it is, because I'm trying to call these people by their actual names so we can have some legitimacy to what we say. But if we're going to be the DNA thing and tell the truth, Mr. Obama would be, a European, or since he represented the power, he would be a white Kenyan. And we have to let him have that. We can't own him because he didn't own us. So we're going to give him back to who he belonged to. He belonged to white Kenyan because his father was Kenyan, and he got into Harvard because of his father. Otherwise, he would have been just like you and I trying to get into Harvard. Didn't really make a difference because it wasn't because of his mother that he got into Harvard. It was because of his father. So, in essence, that lineage, that the power structure, look at here, that they give more validation to immigrants. So maybe that's why Barack Obama never did anything. Mr. Obama didn't do anything for us because he was looking out for the immigrants. Remember, he did what they call it, the DACA, and I'm gonna have to call it that because they're not dreamers. They don't belong to us. And Dr. King was the quote unquote, he's the master of the dream. So we gotta own our stuff, but we gotta also give stuff back to other folk. DACA are not dreamers. They first of all, immigrants that come over here and they can get into that white power structure by code switching because black and white mean the same thing. Ask any white person. If they want people to be black, like they do Kamala Harris, she's black for a moment. If they want her to be Asian, and to me, she's just confused because she claimed herself to be African American when it's convenient, like right now during the election. And she's trying to get votes. So she and Joe Biden are trying to, gaslight Aboriginal Americans. And I'm going to let you guys learn to retrain your brain to say Aboriginal are really people who have melanin in their skin. They've been called black because it is the Europeans who call us black. It is the Europeans who call us colored. It is the Europeans who decided to start saying people of color. All of those, that belong to Europeans. But if you look in history and you look at some of our scholars, they will use that language because they're using that language to put it back on the onus back on the people who decided they want to use this language to name us and not we name ourselves. So I'm just going to go back to the beginning because that's where my research going to go.
Right.
Back to people who had melanin before the other people came out the Caucasus Mountains or the Ziggurat Mountains or whatever mountain that kept them safe from dying, because the earth has always been, kind of helping us along the way. And these people have actually disrespected the earth and all of the creation. Disrespected the earth. The earth kept them alive by allowing them when they got trapped. And I say trapped because they did get trapped. If you want to know about being trapped and being cut off from civilization, look up the place. And I'm talking to the listeners. And the listeners, we do appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate you guys actually increasing the numbers. We just started, but we're trying to be a coalition where young people want to learn how to navigate their own journey. We're not trying to do anything where people looking to us as the authors and the finishers of the faith. How about that? We're trying to help people to be educated, to learn how to do your own research, to learn how to navigate your own journey. So this is applicable to people around the world because you've been fed a lie just like we have. But we have been the template for all of the corruption, all of the genocide, all of the murder that's been done around the world. Europeans, now I would have to say Europeans because that's what they became known as. European and Indo-Europeans or Asiatic Europeans, whatever you want to call it. These are the people who have collaborated with each other, killed each other, colonized the whole world, set up imperialist colonies around the world, and now trying to act like they don't know that they did this when the continent is saying, we've had enough. Be gone. And I'm loving it.
We do not want you here. Please
We
leave our country.
Yes, we do not want you here anymore. You have, and really, we've all been fooled. So now we have to own it, but at the same time, call out people that's supposed to be us, but really not us. So when we call them out, then we know the rest of the people who are pale skinned Negroes. I'm going to start using it. And I hope you guys actually catch on to that because they came from us. So while they're calling us niggers, and all of these jiggers and all of these words that quote unquote, the words have more power than the people, but yet and still, we still get killed. So regardless if we call ourselves that or they call us, we the ones get killed.
Yep.
Although Asians got bills passed so they can be protected. The LGBT community, the alphabet community got bills passed so they can be protected. Jewish people going to take care of themselves, them who quote unquote call themselves Jews, because we got people like Stephen Miller who, according to his lineage, he may be of the Jewish tradition, but at the same time, he's such a white supremacist. So you got that dynamic playing out. You also saw the Star of David up there on the Capitol. So we got a lot of amalgamation going on. So we have to really ask, and jokes aside, who are these people?
Yes.
Because they're pretending to be us and they're not. Barack Obama, and I want to take you guys on a journey. When Barack Obama ran for president, and I bring him up, and I'm piggybacking on the host statement, he voted for this man. Well, I did too. But I have to own my own ignorance. I voted for him and didn't do my homework. And I think that's been a teaching moment for all of us to learn how to do our homework. Mm-hmm. So we won't vote for no more people who quote unquote look like us. Because in essence, Clarence Thomas looked like us. Clarence Thomas is actually a Gullah Geechee native, okay, which are the people who came here from the continent, who set up shop down on Sea Island and been there ever since, have their own culture. And he really do hate melanated people, just like folks who came out the caves. Those pale-skinned Negroes who hate melanated people because they have no melanin. And the bottom line is they do hate. They hate melanin. They do. And when I say they, I'm talking about the energy forces. I'm not talking about individuals, because Barack Obama represented that structure. He just wasn't one person. He had been groomed, and we didn't know this stuff. And if you guys around the world are aware, he was groomed and he came on the continent to try to convince the continent and all of the leaders to accept homosexuality when he was president. And they did. And they were smart enough not to. Because Barack Obama was not, he was carrying out the agenda for the status of the imperialist mindset. How about that? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You went out a little bit.
And the other thing that a lot of people really don't realize about Barack Obama is that, okay, let's just say leading in to the 2008 election, people, the HBCU community was asking for help because there were several HBCUs that were closing, and there was never a plan to include the HBCUs. And when he was in office, that plan was very, very evident because the HBCUs either didn't get money or were given less money while he was in office. And you can actually look this up if you don't believe me. Like, and at the time, well, actually, before he was elected, I was at Langston University, so I know this personally.
Speaking of HBCUs, Barack Obama is one of the first authors of the concept that Ron DeSantis is doing right now. Barack Obama in 2019 went on a podcast, and you guys can look it up. We don't talk about nothing that you cannot find for yourself if you just do your research. Barack Obama went on a podcast with this young lady that was on the Blackish show, whatever her name is. And he did what he has been known for, but we will get on white people for trying to chastise Black people. But Barack Obama was kind of infamous for doing that. And Barack Obama in 2019, coming up to the election for the current president, he came out of his hole wherever he and Michelle has been hiding. And he talked about, in other words, he talked down on the young people for the concept of woke. However, that shows you how much Barack Obama knew about the phrase woke, because he contributed to young people. And I would have to ask the question, which young people? Because young white people went around saying woke. So we have to be very intentional when we address these concepts, because remember now, Ron DeSantis made laws out of this thing called woke. And Ron DeSantis has been, beating that drum beat. I would have to say he can say thank you, Barack Obama, for that. Because Barack Obama went on that podcast and he tried to chastise people for not voting and the way he framed it. But what I'm actually thinking about more so than the podcast and talking about the wokeness, because we're going to come back to that too, is Barack Obama trying to chastise young Black men at HBCUs who have never done the things that Barack Obama made public statements to try to denigrate them into pull your pants up, as you say, the thug life. He is no different than Ron DeSantis or Tommy Tuberville.
Right.
Now,
go ahead. And leading into that point, the thing that got me, he said this at two of the top HBCUs.
Yes, the most prestigious. So let's just put it out there. The most prestigious. And he, in other words, he insulted these young people who are doing what they need to do to get ahead in this system of white supremacy. They're doing what they need to do. But he uses the same language, and it's disrespectful. First of all, it's disingenuous, and it's disrespectful. He went to that church down in South Carolina, and instead of him trying to use a message to talk about criminals with guns who are ignorant, not educated, not only not walking around with saggy pants, but they walking around with guns to kill Black people simply because they can get away with it. But instead of him addressing that like a coward, because he's a coward, I need young people to know that Barack Obama was a coward. But he did he stood up for the status of the Democratic Party. That's all he did. I want you guys to do your own research and find when Hillary Clinton was running for president and her server got hacked. We learned at that time that none of the Democrats like black people either. They're no different than the white people.
No different than that other party.
Exactly. Who these people?
Who are these people?
Because and we can take point by point. If he was a decent and a just person or an honest person, that's one thing. But Barack Obama has never been honest. I would like to still call him Mr. Obama, President Obama, and I guess if I'm in a public arena, I would. But we're on a podcast, so we can call him just Obama, because Obama didn't do anything for us, and he tried to. I mean, he did like any white supremacy power structure when he was talking to all of these young, impressionable black people who were getting their degrees, whose parents worked really hard to get them where they were. But he got into Harvard because he was on a legacy scholarship from his dad, who probably was one of those people who came from the continent. And when he got here, the immigration and all the white people told him, stay away from them Negroes. But they used the other word. Because that is what people are told when they come over here. And I live in a quote unquote, a very United Nation type place. So I see people from all over the world, which is kind of sad, especially since these people can come over here while the Democrats and Republicans are pretending to have fights about immigration and illegals when they are they're flooding the zone with illegals everywhere.
Right.
And they're getting jobs. Check your newspaper. Utah, Illinois, I think Arizona, California, all of these states are actually hiring people to be police, and they're not even citizens. How can you be a police? You're not even a citizen, and you're arresting citizens. How does that make sense?
It doesn't.
But those are not the only things. I mean, those are some of the things that you can tie Barack Obama to back then. But I'm going to bring it a little bit closer up to date, because we got Joe Biden. And remember, Joe Biden was Barack Obama's vice president.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Biden been in politics over, they say 50 years. I'm going to go with 40. Maybe it's been 50. I don't know if he 80. Yeah, he been in politics since he was 28. So this man been in politics. He got out a little bit after, Obama, when Trump became president. So I'm going to give it 40 plus years. But Joe Biden put laws on the books, and now he's lying to say he didn't do this. He put laws on the book for the states to be incentivized by the federal government to lock up more black people.
And he's been doing that since what, 71? 71?
No,
or 73?
No, not that early. It was in the 80s. It was in the 80s because he became a senator in 78. But
okay.
He's been on that same train because he has a vitriol just like anybody from Mississippi or Ron DeSantis. I mean, he is no different. And Hillary Clinton is no different. Let's not leave her out. Hillary Clinton, what was her famous statement? We gotta bring the super predators to heel. And the super predators continue to kill not only black adults, they're killing black children now. They're stealing black children. There's over 1,000 young people, and some of them are white children, and that's another subject, but it's 1,000 children missing in one state since March. That's insane.
That's crazy.
Yes, but the state of Ohio is missing that many children. Like I said, but I'm gonna stay on Obama since you brought him to the conversation. I wanted to go to other people, but I'm gonna stay there with him because he has always bothered me after I recognized that he wasn't an authentic person and he had the propensity to think that it was his place to be the slave master's uh, whipping boy. Okay? In other words, he's the one in 12 years a slave to say, give me the whip, I'll whip them. That's what he seemed to think he's supposed to do with a whole community of people that he didn't come from. Barack Obama was
Right.
raised in Hawaii in $1 million house, and then his mama took him over to Asia. How many people you know live in $1 million house? Back then, not now. Because now all the houses are going to cost almost that much, and you're not even making that kind of money. But his grandmother left him $500,000. So will your mom and dad leave you $500,000 if they left tomorrow?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they got a really, really good insurance policy that I never heard about.
And we're talking about, I don't know when that lady died, but we're talking about not his mother, his grandmother
Right. Yeah.
left him that. Don't know what his mom left him, but we're talking about a man who was living in $1 million house when he was in school. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about somebody in the 80s. So that's quite a bit of wealth, but he tried to pretend to be us because nobody really knew who he was. But it's up to us to find out who everybody is.
And let me jump on that. So
Go ahead.
it was okay. So I guess it was very, very strategic for him to go to Chicago of all places, because where Chicago is like a black people hub of the North.
Mm-hmm.
And where's Michelle from? South side of Chicago.
Exactly.
And so him being in Chicago for as long as they were, and then him just random. And I'll be honest with you, the first time I heard his name, I was at Jackson State University, and it was like 2004. And I cannot even remember what he was in the news for at the time. But that was the first.
He was a speaker at one of those conventions, and they was talking about, who is this young man?
Democratic National Convention.
Yeah, who is this young man? And the McKinley lady, Cynthia McKinley, and she just got wiped off the map at that point. I think it's Cynthia McKinley, the young lady that was she was a congressperson from Illinois at that time. And I may have the wrong person because I think I'm thinking about the lady from, when I say Cynthia McKinley, from Houston.
You said McKinley.
Right? Mm-hmm.
Okay. But like I didn't know who he was until I literally was stumbled onto the Democratic National Convention on TV by accident. I was literally just flipping through channels and got bored and decided to watch it, and that's how I found out who he was.
Well, and notice how the politicians continue to do the same playbook. They write a book. Cynthia McKinney. I think she was from Georgia, but that's not the person I am thinking of. I'm thinking there was a person, a female senator from Illinois.
Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to find a way.
Well, I'll find her later, but I remember Carol Mosby Braun. That's who I'm thinking about.
Okay.
She it was like she just wiped her off because the power structure had decided. And you can look up Tom Dasher. Tom Dasher, I think he's from Kansas, but he's from one of those places you go, who is he? But he's the one who groomed and made sure that Barack Obama was the next president of the United States. Okay? But you don't hear anything about, these politicians who groom their puppets, because they're the puppet masters.
Oh, yeah.
They're no different than the Rupert Murdoch and the Roger Ailes and all of those people. They do the same thing in politics. And then there's, as they say, dark money. It is the dark money that props up both of these political parties. And one try to talk about the other. And it's pathetic because the Republicans, their stuff is so egregious and right there in your face. And then they're such liars. It's like they're not even good liars. And everybody's seeing, past all of the stuff they're doing. Everything. I'm not a Joe Biden fan. People need to know. Not a Joe Biden fan. Never has, never will be. But right now, the politicians are trying to have a impeachment for Joe Biden. Although they're using Joe Biden's son, who is just as whatever as Donald Trump's son, but it is the Trumps who have the mitigated galls to be the most despicable group of people that's been in the White House, and they just made it into it was a money making venture. His son-in-law got $2 billion from the Saudis. The Jew and the Jew and the Arab, or the Jew and the Muslim. They work together and can give the other $2 billion. Money does. I'm gonna have to say this every week. Money does not care about your religion. It doesn't. If it can use. If it can use you, and especially if you look like them, they will use it. Barack Obama think like them. Barack Obama mom's was a European woman. I don't know anything about her except for she came out of Kansas. But according to research, his grandmother was a racist, and so did his grandfather. So my hunch is he grew up with that self-hatred. And then he used it to spread venom on a whole community of people because he got that from the folks that were supposed to have been loving him, but obviously they didn't. They love him the same way. Growing up in certain parts of the country, I heard a young lady say she talked to some people. She was from Mississippi, and she said she did a course study, and the young white children, or young white females in the course, said their father had already told them they could not marry black men, otherwise they would be cut out of the wheel. So they understand all of the dynamics that play out. When people say people don't understand, they're lying. They have these conversations and my point is just like Barack Obama's grandmother. They have those conversations and they talk really ugly, and they use common language that they use in their household. They don't dress it up.
And the thing that really, one of the things that really got my attention was that so him being in Chicago, and at the time you had the coming of Michael Jordan, you had all of the different musical artists at the time coming out of Chicago. He literally put himself in the middle of it. So you automatically assume, oh man, it's a black dude from Chicago. Oh yeah, we got a real one. We got a guy. That's our guy. I know I said it myself.
But
Once upon a time.
Okay, but I like the way you put it because grifters, and we have to be conscious, not just you and I, but everybody who's listening to
Mm-hmm.
tell the next people who are listening. The system, the energy, the power, the force, which are all spirituals, what we call white supremacy, it just encompasses a body, but that energy is always studying melanin. And it always studying the behavior patterns. So
Oh,
what you just said is these people have been watching that and they set that into play and they were very calculating in how they did it. Barack Obama, according to research, he had never had a black woman as a girlfriend before he married Michelle. So it appears, okay, and the statement that's made. Barack Obama never had scandal. Well, it's kind of interesting because now scandal is, finding him everywhere. Why did we know he never had a black woman before Michelle? Why is that important? Because we didn't know anything really about him other than the little bit that they put out there and people read his book. Now we're learning how not to just read people's book, but go back and see what kind of history they have. Because he's doing the same thing the little Barack Obama 2.0 is doing, and it ain't working for him because people are smarter. That what his name, Vivek Ramaswamy.
mm-hmm.
They both went to Harvard. They both got on different committees and do certain things. They both are they both are more akin to immigrant backgrounds than they are our backgrounds. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
And Vivek is trying to out racist the racist or out Trump because he is such a nasty person. I mean, this young man, he's 38 years old, and some of the stuff that comes out of his mouth, you would expect that from a person 60, 70, or 80.
Right.
And he thinks it's somewhere in his psyche, he thinks that it's okay, and it's not gonna work well for him.
Yeah. And so, to get to your point where you're talking about, we're always being studied.
Mm-hmm.
So, people, my auntie brought this to my attention a while back. This very, very wise lady who brought this information to. So, if you ever hear the word think tank, I want you to keep this in mind. Think tanks do a lot of research and studying, not on necessarily subjects per se, but of people and their habits. And what people's habits am I talking about? Their economic habits, their societal habits, the statistical habits, all the way across the board.
Well, let's just put it like this. Think tanks actually in the United States, think tanks study black people because we are the trendsetter. We make everything pop off. People are always, it's sad, people hate us, but at the same time, they follow us on every trend. That includes jargon, okay? I'm going back to the word woke. Mr. Obama decided that was not a good thing for young people to be practicing. So now we got people who going to Vivek. Vivek somehow he then put a book out about woke in corporate. I'm a woke. It's kind of like the Ron DeSantis thing. So everybody jump on something, and woke is code for black people. Let's just put it like that is.
Man.
It's code for black people. As I told somebody today, it is too much codes words that's being used, and most of it is referencing us. And we the only people have to call it out because other folks don't call it out. If they do, they say it one or two times, and that's it.
Right. And then when they're using it, it's not even in the correct context.
Well, it's in the context for which they want to use it because they want to say the N word They can't use thug in everything. So now the whole concept is woke, anti-woke agenda. It's like, but what is woke? As I said in one other podcast, I went to a conference back in July, and this person had woke in his presentation. And this was a scholar. And I raised my hand. I said, what is woke? And they couldn't even tell me. So I'm going to have to start telling people when I see that in their presentation, because I'm sure I'll see it again, because people like to try out certain things. But if you're going to try it out, you better have an answer, because I don't think we're going to continue to be docile in our approach to our survival.
You're right.
Because this is our survival. Just like they are determined to try to make sure the system that they have put in place across the world does not be diminished, that's how hard we're going to work to make it go in decline. We must, because it points back to us. It doesn't point to Asian people. It does not point to the Jewish people. It does not point to the homosexual community or the people who changed their anatomy so they can be whatever they feel like they're supposed. They're not talking about these people. I don't care how much it may not make sense to quote unquote the legislature. The legislators still find ways to make sure everybody have protection of Black people in this country. There are no laws to protect us. And the only laws that were put in place have always been hijacked, or what you call it, when they have actually co-opted, that's not the word I'm looking for, where they put everybody else in there and they got benefits.
Shoehorn.
That's the word I'm looking for. First of all, they shoehorned the white women, and they got more benefits out of civil rights movement than any Black family. Okay. Then they shoehorned at that time they were just called gays and lesbian. And after that, you got the people who were bisexual. And after that, you got the people who, what's the next? Gays, lesbian, transgender. And now you got the people who, they don't want to be anything. They just want to be whatever they want to be today, and tomorrow they want to change their mind. They change their mind. So you got all of these people, and they get protection. And what is crazy is they get protection just like the people who are on the methamphetamine now. Mm-hmm. Or what's that other stuff?
Opium.
Opiates. The opiates, which is the white people a version of the crack cocaine. But when people took crack cocaine, they went to jail because Black people.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
people snorting coke have never gone to jail as much as people did crack. They set up all kinds of laws to make sure Joe Biden made sure if you had something in you, you was going to go to jail and you was going to stay at least 5 years. So when you get out, guess what? Black men can't find no job.
Wait a minute, Chaplain McKay.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't his son do cocaine and crack?
And his daughter too.
Oh.
But see, that's it. Both of these parties keep scores on each other, and they bring the stuff out when it's convenient. Everybody knew Joe Biden's son and his daughter were drug addicts. I mean, when I say everybody, I mean the public arena knew that he was drug addict. They knew Joe Biden has always helped his son out. Now, as far as the stuff they're trying to impeach Joe Biden for something his son did, in the world, no, Ukraine is a crooked country. Ukraine actually think they are important, and they're not. Ukraine is a proxy for the NATO and the United States to fight Russia, and Russia is not having it. Now, all of the illegal weapons that have gone through, that's pretty much what history has done for centuries. But we got to help build our audience so we will understand to know none of this is new. So I don't even have to get mad with Phelps no more. I just
Right.
pray that we get on board so we can see how the behavior pattern continues really to be the same thing. It's not advancing. Even Barack Obama, after the first 4 years, you knew what you were going to get the second 4 years.
Man. And I was getting laughed, like, and I was telling people, hey, do not vote for him this second time. And folks are like, what are you doing? It's like, man, we got to keep a black dude in office. Like, this is stuff people. Now, there were some people that I celebrated with during the first election. They look at like, you not down. I was like, no, I'm not down this time. Like, dude, he hasn't did anything for us.
Well, but think in terms of he didn't do anything. Nobody's done anything for us. Everything we've done, we've done it ourselves.
That's it.
Okay, and I'm gonna echo. I'm gonna bring it up to date because we don't have enough time to do everything we need to do. But the audience need to look at Barack Obama and this country who just had the flood. What was that? Libya.
Yeah.
Look at the connection with Barack Obama in Libya. It was under Barack Obama's presidency that Libya was destroyed.
Benghazi.
Libya was destroyed under Barack Obama. And that situation would not be as dire if Barack Obama, just like the rest of the white supremacy structure, was not intimidated because Muammar Gaddafi was getting ready to build a one current system for the whole continent. Let me say that again, because some people don't understand how any of this works, and we get too fixated on little things. And I'm using him because he represents the whole country, but he also represents the fraud effect of when we actually look at people and think they're us, and we won't do our homework. He's not us. He's never been us. He don't even like us. Another example.
He don't.
Barack Obama. How is it that under Barack Obama's watch, this young man who is now a woman, his name was Bradley Manning, and now his name is Chelsea Manning. He was in the military. He stole United States documents. He sold them. Well, not sold them. He gave them to the guy that's still in jail, Julian Assange. Okay.
Yes.
This is under Barack Obama because that's when we found out. And it was Snowden. All of these guys were giving information so it can become public. Because what the elites who run this world does not want us to do is to educate ourselves. That is the most dangerous thing for all of the melanated people around this world to become. Even though the continent had imperialism and didn't force, they were not forced not to quote unquote learn to read and write, but they had mastered how to socially engineer people without just keeping them from reading and write. They kept us from reading and write and made it law. But when they learned how to do master courses on teaching the people like Clarence Thomas, now you teach them this, then they did the elephant effect. They didn't have to, beat the elephant and put the little thing on the elephant no more. They already got they got Clarence Thomas. They got, what's the guy from South Carolina? They got Tim Scott. They got
Jim Clyburn.
Jim Clyburn. They have all of them. But they really, the icing on the cake was
Larry Elder.
Yeah, Larry Elder. But like I said, anybody ever asked themselves the question, how is it Julian Assange, and I may be pronouncing his name wrong, is still in jail.
And he's just an editor.
Yes, he's an editor, but Chelsea Manning, who used to be Bradley Manning, who sold military documents, stole, let me use that word. He stole them because he gave them to WikiLeaks. How is it that this young man is a young, or whatever, transgender person? That person is now out and should be locked up, whereas Julian Assange is locked up and the United States is trying to extradite him. And if you notice, no Republican are saying free him. No Democrats are saying free him. But when it was time to get the Manning person out, you had all kinds of people trying to say he didn't need to be in jail. At that point, he was still a he.
Right.
But you don't hear that for the same person who was the editor. Now, this person is an editor. So why is it that the United States is hell-bent on getting this person to get extradition over here? Because it's more about us not having information than anything else. Because otherwise, that the person who is now a transgender person would still be locked up.
Right. And I'm looking at it like this. They're not just trying to silence Mr. Julian Assange, but I think they're trying to silence whatever
No, they're sending a message.
Yeah.
In other words, he owned WikiLeaks and he was trying to help the whole world. So they're trying to send a message to journalists. You don't cross us. I'm not making it up. That's what happened. And now you got Barack Obama, who came out of hiding when Joe Biden ran for president in the middle of a pandemic to make sure he got elected. I think really, if we go back and look at the record, Bernie Sanders probably would have been president.
Easily.
Not Donald Trump. So just like they said Barack Obama gave us Donald Trump, well, Barack Obama, no, they said Barack Obama gave us Donald Trump. Well, you can also change the reverse background. Barack Obama also destroyed the election thing by giving us Donald Trump. Because now he's trying to rewrite stuff by messing up again and interfering in the election and getting Bernie Sanders to drop out. And now we still got Donald Trump because January 6th happened after he was out of office.
Mm-hmm.
And he has never gone away. So both of these guys are it's like you're still here. Why don't you two people go away? Because Joe Biden is going to go away. He is too old to be doing whatever he's doing. And my hunch is Gavin Newsom is just, he's buying his time. He's buying his time.
That right there.
He and Ron DeSantis, which makes no sense, is going to do a debate. It's like, why is this man who's running for president debating?
I can't hear you.
I said, Ron DeSantis is debating Gavin Newsom. And one has to ask the question, why is this man debating a person that's not running for president? Hello?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if you said you couldn't hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Can you repeat what you said before?
I said Ron DeSantis is debating Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is getting the upper hand because Ron DeSantis is running for president. Why is he debating a person who really is not running for president right now? That makes no sense.
That's a bad move.
But that's how desperate our country has become. They are doing so many desperate desperation things. Like they're doing this impeachment thing, and even their people that they supposed to have as witnesses, they're doing an inquiry. They're using taxpayers' money to an inquiry to see if they need to impeach Joe Biden. But what they're doing, they're wasting time until next year so they can try to get. And it's like, are we this stupid in this country? That's why I said we have to try to get people around the world so we can do something different, because the United States is failing, and it will continue to fail because there are so many ignorant people on so many levels that are supposedly in position, while the people who have the money, they're plugging the money until they can plug their money somewhere else. That's all they're doing.
And right now, with this whole impeachment thing going on, what it comes off to me as, okay, you guys impeached our guy, now we're going to go after your guy.
Yes, exactly. And the information that has been reported, it is Donald Trump who told them to impeach him. So this selfish, narcissist, ignorant person who has this kind of control, because that's the idea of white supremacy. It has no conscience. It only feeds its own ego. And if it can use ignorant people to do it, it continues to do it. Donald Trump is getting money from around this country from folks to pay all his legal bills. And as soon as he goes to jail, guess what? He's going to file bankruptcy. Ain't nobody going to get anything. Not even his dumb children. Those are his adult children. I don't know why people call them children when these men are old sons. They're not children.
And here's the thing. So so a lot of people don't know that China was paying Donald Trump's rent when he left the White House.
China was paying what?
China was paying his rent when he left the White House. It was an article came out in April.
Doesn't
and
that
it also, and another article that a lot of people really have told, well, it was talked about very briefly, and then it was almost like, you know how somebody brings something up and then they speed right past it, and then you look at them like, wait a minute, why would you say that? So like most people don't know, or I would say prior to 2015, like right before he announced he was running for president, that he was trying to get a Trump Tower in either Beijing or Shanghai.
Donald Trump ran for president so he could make money. He said that. He said that on several occasions. He is a con man, but you have to listen closely because he pretty much he's such a narcissist. He tells you exactly what he's doing, and he's a pathological liar. He's always been a liar. But now the very thing that he has done his whole life is going to come back to bite him in the butt, because some of those people down in Georgia are flipping on him. And one guy who's the bail bondsman, imagine that you're a bail bondsman, you're the first person that's actually going to go to jail for doing the stuff that you're supposed to be getting other people off, getting them a bond so they can actually walk out for a moment. But we're seeing all kinds of stuff. And I'm going to come back to the statement you said about China. So China is supposed to be the United States enemy, yet you see the head of the country using the phrase in bed with China. See, we can't take none of these people serious. We
No.
really cannot, because their own interest and their only interest is keeping power with the elites. And the elites are the money structure from the United States to Europe that runs the world. That's the reason why right now the IMF is telling Kenya that they're going to starve their people, because Kenya don't have its own banks like most of the countries on the continent. They don't have their own banks. That's part of the reason why they had to take Gaddafi out, because Gaddafi had enough riches that his country was doing okay. And he was about to make some boss moves, but instead of making boss moves, he got killed.
Yep.
But we have to keep reminding people of that, because these people just experienced a flood. And Barack Obama has the audacity to say, we need to help them out. It's like, so you, I guess you forgot that you are the person who had their president killed.
Playing both sides.
Yeah, but so good at that. You had people kill this man from this country, and this as to say, this is the effect after however many years back, because this is the continuous cycle. I am going to disrupt your country. I'm going to cause chaos, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to be the hero. Because that's the United States, the divided states way. They cause chaos, and then they come in and pretend they're helping the country out, when in essence they're not. So yes, I continue to pray and hope that the people on the continent find ways to start working with each other better.
Yes.
Because I'm going to try to find ways to see where I can plug in to do things that I consider knowledge for the melanated community.
Right.
Because if we can educate ourselves to go back and look at how we have actually been the catalyst, the core, and we are the core. We are the foundation of this planet. The planet has been a prisoner ever since the ice age ended about 12,000 years ago. Or if they say 12 to 15, whatever they want to say. I use the people over in North Sentinel Island, and I'm going to keep using them until people say, where is that? And they go look for it.
Man.
These people are just as melanated.
Please look it up.
They are
Please
just
look it up.
melanated as they can
Please.
be. And they don't have jails. They don't have nursing homes. They don't have prisoners. They don't have police. They don't have none of that stuff. And they still here, and they've been here, according to research, more than 30,000 years. So therefore, this is what we used to look like. If they wanted to do something different, perhaps they could. But they're still alive. They still surviving. They still living whatever life they live. We got all of this quote unquote technology, and it hasn't helped us. It has helped those who have used our energy. In other words, they have become vampires and sucked the life out of us to keep themselves alive. And they have no souls. So how about that for a religious sermon?
And once again, we ask, who are these people?
I don't know. Wait a minute. They the same people who continue to put Kamala Harris up, and she tells these stories about when she and her sister was young, and now her story has gone from her mom and dad pushing her in her stroller, and they were in the civil rights movement. Now they went to AME churches. It's like, please, Kamala, stop.
Man.
These are these people. Remember, Barack Obama was down there at that funeral singing Amazing Grace, and people, you can impress melanated people too easily. And I'm hoping young people are not so impressed just to hear somebody mess up Amazing Grace, which at this point, We'll need to be singing Amazing Grace anyway.
No.
Amazing Grace was about a slave ship. So if you really want to know the history, I will destroy Amazing Grace for you. You don't want to sing that. It's about a slave catcher who, quote unquote, he saw the light.
Oh yes. To piggyback on what Chaplain McKay was talking about with Kamala Harris. Those of you from the Bay Area, the Yay area, if you went to Langston University, if you're from the Bay Area or the Yay area, if you do not trust Miss Kamala Harris, please let it be known on all your social media, because she makes it, if you listen to her talk in the media, she makes it seem like Oakland give her just love. No, that is not true. Let me tell you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have a teammate that was personally affected by one of those policies that she put in place to put black people, or
are you talking about the policy where she put parents in jail for truancy?
Yes, her truancy. Yes, her truancy policy. Yes,
and then she laughed about it as if she saw something funny in putting parents in jail for truancy, and really it didn't put people in jail for killing. What was her name? Is it LaTanya Richardson? Is that her name?
Yes.
The young woman who Kamala Harris lied to her father and said she was going to get justice for this young lady. As soon as she became a senator for the United States, she turned her back on him. And he had been trusting that she was going to do something for 2 years. It's like, how do you do that to a parent when they looking for justice for their daughter after she was murdered at the hands of the police? Well, and nobody can tell you how it happened.
Well, when you're a heartless woman with no kids, it's easy. Well, dang, sorry.
Well, but these are the kind of people pretend that, they're not. They've never been, quote unquote, for us, with us, about us, none of the above. But if that is what people want to continue to promote, they can promote it. But we're going to continue to do counter and tell the real truth and let people decide for themselves. And I say, you can do your research. I advocate for young people to always do their own research. I have a niece right now. She said, I know, Auntie, you want me to do my own research. I said, exactly, because we want to help people to be free. The way we talked about freedom a few weeks ago. The way you free yourself is to take the opportunity to think outside whatever box somebody has put you in. And then, or you put yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
Do something that you think is radical. Like if you're not supposed to go, I'm going to just use an example. You're not supposed to go to the casino and you're 21 years old. You've never been out and you want to just go to see what it's about. I'm not telling you to go gamble, but everybody else has told you you're not even supposed to go. Just go in there. You're 21.
It's fun.
Go in there and just see how it feels just to walk inside of a place where somebody said, well, don't you go in there. It's against God's word. Although half of the preachers up in there.
Eating at their buffets.
And no, the buffets are over. That is what they would like for you to believe. But I'm just saying, that is just one example. Just break yourself out of all of these boxes people have put you in, and you've allowed yourself to be put in. Because we're going to have to learn how to retrain our brains to be free so we can actually rebalance the earth, because the earth is out of balance. Mm-hmm. And people are always looking to us to be the catalyst they need to do whatever it is around the world. And we're just not going to be that for other people. We're going to actually start focusing on ourselves and tell the world, you owe us. You owe us reparation and you will pay. Now, you may not think you're going to pay. You may pay one way or the other. Either we can get up and go somewhere else and take our resources with us. You will pay or you will pay us. These are the same people who have paid all of these folks, the very folks I just named, the same people they give laws to, and the illegals. I must keep saying the illegals because the Ukraine have gotten over $62 billion according to a report. That's a whole lot of money. Just think, if we had $62 billion as a group of people, we would not be talking to most of the people that we talk to. We would not be going to the jobs that we go to. We would not.
Place would look a little bit different.
But the main slavery that we've actually experienced is economic.
That part.
Economic slavery, because we've been the tail end of everything. That is the reason why the president of Guyana kind of brought not only receipts, but he brought all these invoices to I think it's Good Morning Britain, a news station in Britain. And they had the audacity to have him on because he was a part of the UN envoy or whatever. But they need to stop bringing these melanated people on because they have no more tolerance for Europeans or Americans, white Europeans and white Americans. They have no more tolerance for them and all of the lies. And the first thing they say, well, what do you want? There's something happened a long time ago. We used to those talking points. Slavery never ended because slavery started with corporations. And guess what? Corporations have become people. So when did slavery ever end? I'll wait.
It just rebranded itself.
Well, but we have to serve up people that because they only know what they know, how they know it. They don't really know real history because that was the case. You wouldn't have this ignorant man that's supposed to be making sure the military do not get what they need.
Tommy Tuberville.
Yeah, if he understood history, because Europeans are good at bragging on what they did or what they what they've done. They never done anything. There is no war, since there have been wars on the divided states soil that has been won without the help of Black people.
Hey, they can't check that box.
No, they can't check.
They always needed help.
Always
Had to have reinforcements.
And I would say this, and this is just a hypothesis, so nobody run for it. Don't run with it. Just think if some of the Black guys did what the white guys did when they went to the military, they came back and they set up militias and they started killing us. Black people don't have that propensity to do that. But since Tommy Tuberville is such a nasty person, and now he's nasty to the new general of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I mean, very disrespectful. And he tried to make the comparison of him being a football coach with the military. And I'm not sorry to say this. It's like that is such an insult to all 2.1 million people in service for this racist idiot to compare the military to a football team. This is not a game, and nor are the military trying to entertain you.
Tommy Tuberville is going to put himself in a position to where it's going to get to the point to where the military is going to be like, you know what? Y'all want us to fight over there? We not going to do it.
But that's what happened when you continue to allow people. And I have to go back to Mr. Obama, okay? Because first of all, white guys will put people like him up to do their dirty work. But since Trump, It's like, no, we good, bro. We got this. We can call them niggas all over again. So now you got it from both ends. You got the people like Joe Biden saying, if you don't vote for me, you're not black, which is such an insult.
He sounded demented when he said that.
And then you got Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy and what's the little guy, Tim Scott. All of them saying really stupid stuff. Tim Scott, there is no more. United States is not racist. It's not a racist country.
I want to talk to him so bad.
Why?
I'm like, sir, you must ain't. So look, there's other people like me that you don't know, and you're trying to convince us that this. Like, come on now.
No, he's just selling the soap. That's what he get paid to do. He get paid to sell the soap the same way Nikki Haley get paid to sell the soap. Both of them from South Carolina. Yeah. They get paid to sell the soap. He just has a dark complexion to sell the same soap because the only thing they want us to do is still follow their narrative. And the more we get people on board to do their own research and try to find a group of people they're trying to educate and then start doing that. In other words, we want to set this in motion and become another form of grassroots. Right. And the more we do that, guess what? The networks, the Joy Reeves and all of those, they would eventually not be able to get those hefty salaries of what? $75,000. Not $75,000, $750,000 up to $15 million a year. They won't be able to get those because the advertiser's not going to be paying these media propaganda organizations to do nothing.
I'm glad you talked about that. I just want to thank Brother Rissa Islam for this information. Mm-hmm. He brought something to my attention on the 85 South show, and he was talking about the media and how us with podcasts and radio show or internet radio shows now are taking a lot of steam out of what we knew as the media, the what do they call it?
Legacy media.
Yes, it's taking steam away from legacy media, and so according to Brother Rissa Islam's information, the media has been losing the media's ratings as far as news outlets. Has been losing ratings consistently since late 2016.
Okay, well, good.
Because and guess where these ratings are going?
To people on podcasts.
Podcasts are getting rated higher and higher than regular. Like, perfect example. The 85 South show is one of the top Black podcasts on the web.
Okay. And see, I'm hoping that eventually we start building our own web. Okay. Because we need to divorce ourselves and that be our backup options if we choose to.
Speaking of that, did you know there is a Black social media app called Melanated People?
Oh, okay. No, I did.
Yes. And just so the guy who started and owns Melanated People, he's an IT person.
Oh, okay. Well, see, you have to help me with that because I'm very.
I just got the app 3 or 4 days ago.
Okay. Okay.
And it's taken a lot of steam away from Facebook.
I'm loving it because this is the avenue that we need, so we can let them do. In other words, they can keep Facebook, they can keep X, which used to be Twitter, and they can call us all kinds of names because that's what they're good at. And somehow they think that's quote unquote going to make us feel some kind of way. And I will teach you guys, just call them pale skin niggas. They call us niggas, call them pale skin niggas. They're more close to the silverback, according to research, than we are. But they call us gorillas and they call us apes. You just have to know your history, young people. You just have to know your history. That's what I'm here for. Little bites and little sound bits at a time, and you're going to be empowered so you can combat all of this venomous energy that's spewed your way. And it's simply because these forces despise what they no longer have a connection to. These people came from melanated people after they went through hibernation, becoming hybrid people and living for centuries isolated from the rest of the sun people.
Oh, that's
because they didn't get any sun. And they had to survive. They was pretty much like what's some of these Lord of the Rings, the Hobbits, and I know there's one the same. Game of Thrones. These are actually their real habitats and what they live through. They make it look like it's just TV, but I've done enough research to say, okay, this is their imagination. But if you take the imagination away, you see this is who they are.
What are they left with?
Well, I'm going to give an example. The barbaric behavior of man from Australia, and I don't think we had this conversation about this person, but he's a zoologist, I think. This man was arrested because he was raping animals. I want that to sink in for a moment. This person who I guess it's a person. I don't know, but they are masquerading as being a person, kind of like people who said they got one genetic makeup and they want to be another. I'm not sure if this person is either. The one who I'm just not. I just know that person says it's human, but this person spent years raping animals and forced his wife to film him doing it. And now she has left him. She said she didn't know this was this kind of person, but it shocked her. And that's why I pulled the article off, because I'm going, and he did what? But this is the kind of stuff that the behavior that's manifest over centuries that have not been reined in or even put in check. And we have to think in terms of that, because this is the behavior that Ron DeSantis allowed to run rapid in Florida, and nobody has checked him on that. It's a young man his nickname is Ozone, who fought not to be convicted of first-degree murder, and they just finished the trial, and they gave him a lesser sentence, a lesser charge, and he's up for sentencing. While at the same time, a person from Florida made his way up to Portland, Oregon, and he stabbed 2 teenagers on a train. When it's all said and done, they never said this man committed a hate crime, although he said F effing ends. Okay, they blanked out the words, but you can fill in the blank. You know what he said. This man attacked two children, two black young children. They were 17, 16, 17, that age range. So they're teenagers. They're going home like children do. They're hanging out with each other, two boys. He attacked them. And they didn't even say hate crime. And then in the report, the person who was doing the reporting, he said, I had to dig deep to find out this man had criminal activities months before they actually caught him. But when they wrote the article, they said a homeless guy attacked these teenagers. They didn't say black teenagers, mind you. So you have to watch how the media frames stuff. They didn't say black teenagers, but if you in the Northeast, you probably would assume if they don't show the pictures, because they don't want to show pictures now, unless it's black people killing somebody else or black people killing black people, because then the black people are always just the thugs. But this man did this, and he was from Florida, and he was out on probation. So you talking about a criminal who they let out, who went to another state, all the way across, not all across state, but he went across country. He went from the very tip of one state in the country, to the tip of the very end and the other side of the country. And they're making very light and trying to paint him as a woe is me. Yet and still, when the young man got killed in New York City, who got killed in broad daylight, Ron DeSantis, going back to him, like I say, he's just like a Barack Obama, okay? Ron DeSantis put money on this guy's defense fund. So we see that it's a wink and a nod, all of this coded language, and it does not matter who they are. It can be Kamala Harris, it can be Vivek, it can be
Nikki Haley.
It can be Mindy Kaling, who pretends to be a comedian, and her brother went to school on a fake scholarship. All of those. They're trying to replace the Southeast Indian with the Aboriginal Indians, and that ain't gonna ever work. How about that?
Yes, we're gonna have to turn this into a part 2. Like we're gonna have to turn this to a part 2 because we barely touched Kamala Harris. We didn't get to Vivek, and we didn't get to Miss Haley in detail.
And see that's the hard part about it, as you say, trying to do subject matters. And I'm on the opinion is I can only give people sound bites.
Yeah.
I cannot give you the whole thread that you need to make the connection, because the threads are so long and so intertwined. It's going to take us a moment after we introduce people, if they don't even know who some of these people are. It takes us a moment to get there. So, and if people want to tune in, please invite somebody else to tune in so we can build this community. Because the idea is we're not just talking to the people in the United States or all the other countries who tune in. We're talking to the people that that you want to have conversation with. And you don't just want to talk about football, basketball, baseball, not knocking any of that, but entertainment is not going to advance us to be economically free from this system that has terrorized all of us around the globe. And I don't care if you, quote unquote, say you Asian. Everybody came from melanated people, and then they got disconnected. And now they live in that isolated mentality, because that's what white supremacy has learned to do. And I'm going to put a few more words out there, because none of these words are really tangible. They're intangible words. They're invisible words. Talking about people saying this is a spirit. Well, if it's a spirit, that means you can't see it, but it keeps manifesting itself through people.
Yeah.
And all of these people operate with the same behavior. They are so hateful and they come across like we supposed to be there. Like none of this and I'm just tired of people saying, well, that was so long ago. Jim Crow never ended, and neither did slavery. It just changed forms and changed names. It's still ran by corporations. Corporations are run by elites who want to get more profit and very little money they want to give to the workers. Ask the union workers who are now on strike from the big three. And I know we're supposed to be, signing off, and we're going to at that next time. But the big three, this is the first time in a long time, the big three, the three unions are on strike at the same time. Now, of course, Joe Biden had to go there because Joe Biden has painted himself to be a union man. But if Joe Biden was not going to go, it was going to be hell for him to pay because he has pretended to be a union man all of this time. And now these people on strike and they need their money.
And he's made them too many promises.
Well, but they need their money.
Yes.
They need their money. It is their money. They cut their money back in 2008 when that skinny man was in the White House. And they never got it back. But all of these CEOs get all kinds of benefits and windfalls. So we got to learn to teach young folks how to be more politically intelligent and astute. And we cannot be politically savvy until we become politically astute. And with that, I'm gonna stop talking because we can keep going.
Yeah. So please like, share, and subscribe the Chocolate Life podcast. We will soon have different platforms where you could donate and give and stuff like that. Will be coming soon. For now,
this was kind of fun.
People.
I like this.
Oh man, this was a good one. Yes. Who are these people? Part 2 will be coming soon.
Okay, AJ, thanks for having me.
People, please stay blessed, stay ready, and stay chocolate in the Cocoverse. All right. This is your host, AJ, signing out. All right. Good night, people.